Mannar is the main town of Mannar District, Northern Province, Sri Lanka. It is governed by an urban council. The town is located on Mannar Island overlooking the Gulf of Mannar and is home to the historic Ketheeswaram temple. Formerly the town was renowned as a center of pearl fishing, mentioned in the 2nd century Periplus of the Erythraean Sea. Located in the northwestern coast of the island, Mannar is an island that is considered to be the closest to India and was once a major terminal for travelers journeying between both countries. Due to the civil war, Mannar was overlooked by many, however, has quickly risen to prominence since the end of the war in 2009. Mannar is an interesting place that allows one to understand the culture and history of the island, while also having the opportunity to relax in picturesque places. The island of Mannar is home to several places of worship that allows you to understand the diverse cultures that live in the area. Two major places that should be included in your itinerary are the Ketheeswaram Koval and the Church of Our Lady of Madhu. The Ketheeswaram Koval is considered to be one of the 5 Panchariswaram, 5 designated temples for the worship of Lord Murugan, thus making it one of the most sacred Hindu temples on the entire island. On the other hand, the Church of Our Lady of Madhu is an example of how there is a strong Catholic community as well. Many interesting festivals are organized by these places of worship, in which you can participate as well. The baobab, also referred to as baobab, boboa, bottle tree, upside down tree, and monkey bread tree, is a native tree to Africa, Madagascar and Australia. There are 8 species of baobab, 6 in Madagascar, 1 each in Africa and Australia. The tree is also referred in Sri Lanka as the elephant tree, since the bark of the tree resembles the skin of an elephant, and the Tamils refer to it as paraka. The baobabs in Sri Lanka is believed to have been brought by Arabian traders. According to a study done in 2003, there are about 40 baobab trees surviving in Sri Lanka, out of which 34 has been identified and measured in Mannar. Most of the trees were calculated to be 300 to 400 years old. The oldest and the largest baobab is at Palimene, which is said to be about 800 years old. This tree was calculated 723 years old in the 2003 study. The circumference of the tree is 19.5 meters and it's 7.5 meters tall. This is most popular of the all due to its size and age. Baobabs are long-lived deciduous, small to large trees with broad trunks and compact crowns. Young trees usually have slender, tapering trunks, often with a swollen base. The trunk is made of fibrous wood arranged in concentric rings. Tree diameter fluctuates with rainfall, so it is thought that water may be stored in the trunk. Baobab trees have 2 types of shoots: long, green vegetative ones, and stout, woody reproductive ones. Adansonia gregori is generally the smallest of the baobabs, rarely getting to over 10 tall and often with multiple trunks. Both A. rubristipa and A. madagascariensis are small to large trees, from 5 to 20 meters tall. The other baobabs grow from 25 to 30 meters tall, with 2 to 3 meters diameter trunks. A. digitata, however, often have massive single or multiple trunks of up to 10 meters diameter. These donkeys of Mannar are fascinating former beasts of burden, scientifically identified as Equus africanus asinus, and known to be the descendants of those introduced to Sri Lanka from Somalia, being brought over by Arabian traders very many centuries ago. These beasts carried the traders' merchandise, primarily Sri Lanka's famous spices, to the interior of the country. They were also used as the local taxi service, carrying wives and children to their various destinations. In earlier times the donkeys were well behaved, reared well and calm, very much like our domesticated cows, sheep and goats. During the days of Dutch colonialism in the 17th century, Mannar was an island that was heavily fortified, since it was used as a stronghold to maintain the trade monopoly and the offshore pearl banks. All this can be seen when you explore the Mannar Fort, as the complex still has quite a few remnants, such as the chapel, dungeon, and the bell tower. The Mannar Fort is also known for its splendid views of the Indian Ocean and the surrounding town. There are several other colonial monuments that are scattered across the island that narrates quite a story to anyone who is interested, thus making it a good opportunity for you to discover an interesting past. Dutch Ceylon was a governorate established in present-day Sri Lanka by the Dutch East India Company. Although the Dutch managed to capture most of the coastal areas in Sri Lanka, they were never able to control the Kandyan Kingdom, located in the interior of the island. Dutch Ceylon existed from 1640 until 1796. In the early 17th century, Sri Lanka was partly ruled by the Portuguese and Sri Lankan kingdoms, who were constantly battling each other. Although the Portuguese were not winning the war, their rule was rather burdensome to the people of those areas controlled by them. While the Dutch were engaged in a long war of independence from Spanish rule, the Sinhalese king, the King of Kandy, invited the Dutch to help defeat the Portuguese. The Dutch interest in Ceylon was to have a united battle front against the Iberians at that time. The fort at Mannar, built by the Portuguese and strengthened by the Dutch, is still in tolerable repair, and the village presents an aspect of industry and comfort. But the country beyond is sterile and repulsive, covered by a stunted growth of umbrella trees and buffalo thorns. The most singular objects in the landscape are a number of the monstrous baobab trees, whose importation from the western coast of Africa to India and Ceylon is a mystery as yet unsolved. The popular conjecture is that it was the work of the Portuguese, but the age of the trees, as indicated by their prodigious dimensions, is altogether inconsistent with this hypothesis, and their introduction is probably referable to the same early mariners who brought the coffee tree to Arabia and the cinnamon laurel to Malaya. The huge and shapeless mass of wood in these singular trees resembles a bulb rather than a stem. One of the largest, at Mannar, measured upwards of 30 feet in circumference, although it was a very little more in height. Mannar is scarcely worth a visit. It represents a dreary aspect in comparison with the rest of Ceylon, notwithstanding that in earlier times it was regarded as a place of considerable commercial importance from its proximity to India and the yield of its pearl fisheries. It is now famous only for its baobab trees, Ceylon digitata, which must have been imported many centuries ago from the coast of Africa, but by whom and for what purpose is a mystery. The peculiarity of this monstrous tree is in its shapeless massive stem, whose circumference is equal to the height of the tree.